Another fantastic Tyler intro coming while Devin and I stuff our faces.
Yeah, welcome to three fat fucks having ice cream over holy smokes.
To be alive if you can't do that.
Welcome to Strong and Petty here in the Whiskey Tango podcast studios. I'm Tyler Sigurdsson. This is Devin. This is Beeks. They got some ice cream. Episode 21. If this was now to keep going with what we've been doing now, if this was a woman, it'd be a little old for Devin's taste. But speaking of which, we have an audience tonight, and usually we have an audience of one with our producer, but we have an audience of two today. With the lovely Danielle Penner sitting over there. She didn't want to be mentioned, but I made sure that very early we did that. In literally the first minute I mentioned that she was here.
I'll interrupt Brett James. Make note of 47 seconds for me, please.
Dropping ice cream down my beard.
What did I miss there?
Awesome.
Beard covered in ice cream.
The peanuts dropped off, and I sucked it out of my beard.
More nuts on his beard.
So that's weird. These taste a little saltier than normal.
Okay. So here we are up to 21. We got a bunch of shit coming up in the world of a local strongman coming up here. So, Devin, why don't you talk about?
Coming up.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, I don't really like. I'll be at a lot of stuff. I'll be at a lot of things, and I'm competing at one of them. But it's really Devin who's got his plate full these next couple of days here.
Yeah, I guess what I got this weekend, we got provincials on Sunday.
Well, yeah, you and me are both as involved.
Yeah,
with
we're
that
both there. Yeah, so I got to bring a bunch of. I actually just left Paul's gym this afternoon. Test that deadlift lever.
What do you think?
It actually went really well. Everything's evenly spaced. I took the math calculations down. Both those things are within half a pound of each other with everything, which is good. Yeah. But jumping from the 5th to the 6th lever jumps up by like 35%. Really? On the last two holes. And it makes no sense. You're like, well, it's a nice gradual jump. You want to
narrow the amount that it's...
But what they're going to do, which he'll announce the show, and this will be past right there, is the last hole, we're going to an 18-inch pick to accommodate.
Okay.
Yeah. So just lengthen the handle.
Cool. I have something that I would like to try to change about that, but we'll talk about that afterwards.
Yeah. Then after that, we got Magnus.
We got the Magnus show right after that, which I'm competing at, and Devin is organizing.
Yep. Me and Brad Hurst. He's done wonders on that. He's done all the money side, a lot of fundraising, a lot of that end, and I've taken care of helping with the athletes, picking the athletes.
Yeah, we have me and Dan are the two Manitoba competitors that are coming. Last year we had 4.
Yeah, there might be a third yet.
Not Nate, if that's what you're thinking of.
I might come out of retirement.
No, not Nate.
Oh, baby Beak said okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do a max back drag.
Oh yeah,
my specialty.
Yeah.
No time limit. No time limit. And in the sand.
I have to do it all the way across Gimli.
I know that Nate got the invite, but he told me that his wife, in no uncertain terms, told him that they had plans this long weekend.
Yeah,
and they were going to follow through on those plans.
I think they're more exaggerated over my dead body.
Yeah, I think that's what he told me too.
I have such an off-color joke for that.
Well, say it. This is the place to do it.
I don't want to name drop anyone.
Oh, they're fair enough. Then let's not get anybody in trouble then.
Just use Danielle.
But the Magnus show will be. I really encourage people. If you don't really give a shit to check out the Strongman shows and stuff, like if you're just kind of like they're whatever to me, I think the Magnus show is really worth checking out because if nothing else, you're at the Icelandic Festival, so there's other stuff to go. If you're bored, cool. Go check something else out.
It's like Motors and Muscles used to be in Thunder Bay.
Yeah.
Where the Strongman show is just part of a bunch of really cool stuff.
A bigger thing, yeah. And if you don't care for the Strongman, go check something out. But I really would be surprised if you came out and checked out the show and didn't enjoy it because last year we had a huge audience of people. There was like 1,000 people for some of the stuff.
It was crazy.
And it was not like so. It's kind of hard to describe to people who don't understand a lot about strongman, but that there's like different levels, right? Where there's this amateur level that everyone gets involved with, and we all have friends and family who come out and support us, and then you hope that when you sort of get to this higher level, like sort of where the Magnus show is, or where Westerns is, or wherever is, that you get people who just enjoy the sport and want to come see some fucking freaks do some feats of strength, right? And that's what the Magnus show was, which was awesome. Was that there was a bunch of people there that I had never seen before.
Yeah,
the crowd was awesome.
They were there. They were cheering for everybody. They were having a good time. They had their favorites.
Well, I was at Physio a couple weeks ago, And a lady had asked me, is the Magnus show happening? At that point, it was still up in there. We weren't sure with logistics and money, and we were short on our budget. We just didn't know if we'd even be able to put it on. But I'm like, you came last year? She's like, oh, absolutely. We have a cabin there, and we watched the whole show.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that's stuff you don't normally hear.
No, and I had friends who, again,
You
who
never
were
hear
out
that
there-
about CrossFit.
No, the only strength sport besides like that's worse than powerlifting as like a viewer spectator sport.
Yeah.
Is just like I
People
remember
that watch Olympic lifting?
Would you call it a strength sport or an exercise sport?
an exercise sport.
Yeah.
I
I
guess.
would say that's the best.
A
That's the best at
conditioning sport, I
exercising.
guess.
Yeah.
I've been to one weightlifting
Conditioning.
show and I actually enjoyed it more than say powerlifting because it just went faster.
Okay.
It just like went at a really quick pace and. My
If
dad.
you like fast shows, you should come to my place one night.
I will. Anytime you invite me over, I'll come over.
Well, he burns off his Sunday.
When I did my first competition in Thunder Bay, my dad came out for the drive with me, and we just hung out there. And before the Strongman competition, there was a CrossFit competition, and my dad was like actually pissed after it. He was like, "That was such a waste of my fucking time to sit there and see that." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
He thought it was so boring and so dumb, and I mean it is.
Yeah.
Really. Like at the very least, like Strongman has like cool stuff in it. Like it's just you're just watching people do stuff that you would see like in a commercial for a gym at CrossFit stuff. Like, oh, here's a guy riding a bike. Here's
I'm just messing Magnus right now with the podcast.
big name drop there from Devin.
Yeah. So yeah, Magnus will be on the podcast next week.
Okay, so let's talk about that then.
Yeah.
Magnus is an intimidating character, and we don't know what we're going to talk to him about. So you guys
We gotta-
need to
yeah.
provide us with questions on that because
And that one might run a little long, but
yeah,
I'm excited for that. It'll be
Yeah, he's an interesting guy with a lot of stories, and when we were just kind of hanging out with him at the show last year, like he would just like someone would be like, oh, I pinched my gut really hard on the log, and he'd be like, this one time, and he would tell you this crazy story about a guy like a guy lost his belly button because he ripped the
holy shit.
the skin so badly, like whatever, and it was just like it healed all crazy and stuff. But he just told that story, and it was just like, wow, like how many stories do you have that I'll never get to hear because I won't just have the right cue to set it
Yeah.
up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So if you guys have any questions about that,
I'll be fishing all episode like, oh, just stub my toe.
because we're almost bent my fingernail.
Hit your
back
elbow
there.
on the table. Oh
Yeah.
no.
So if you guys have any questions, you want to ask a literal legend of
Yeah.
of the strength sport world, not just strongman, but of just one of the biggest names truly in all of strength sports. If you say to your parents that you're going to a show in Gimli with Magnus for Magnuson, they'll just know who that is for some
Yep.
reason. Like,
He's
they'll
the
just-
Celine Dion of strongman.
Yeah, he just completely transcends the sport, and people just know who he is. They've seen him on TSN during the day. A lot of people saw him in Gimli when he was doing stuff there. Like he would come and do exhibitions, or he would do like a meet and greet, whatever, for the Icelandic festival. And a lot of people saw him there. And like the guy was talking about last time that he did like a truck pull like 20 years ago or something, like a long time ago. And like a lot of those kids that were there watching are like adults now who were at the thing, and they saw that and they remember that. You know what I mean? So I don't think it was 20 years ago, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And
Well, they got pictures of him up in the bar. They from years past. Yeah.
so truly, like it's funny to like that we have this like microcosm of like Iceland in the Interlakes,
Yeah.
where he's like
Yeah.
a major celebrity, just like he would be back in Iceland. You know?
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. We got that Thursday. Look, we're gonna get some other boys on here too that weekend.
Yeah, we're hoping to get we got a couple of the Western pros that are coming in for the.
One, we're really trying to get that first non-binary audience. So by bringing Jeffers in,
That's
I
exactly
think-
the goal.
I
Is
think
that
one of
with
his cousins will start following.
We should that should appeal to all the other they thems out there if we have Jeffers on the podcast. And also we have like Tristan Hoth is going to be coming in for he's doing the bench at the police fire games thing.
Okay.
Oh shit!
So that'd be cool to talk to him about that. And he's such a monster. Like he's gonna there's gonna be nobody close to him
No.
in that. I don't think so.
He's got a big bench?
Yeah. He's a bunch of those guys from like he's from him and Ryan Jabley too is another guy where these guys are like strongmen who just have incredible bench presses. Like they're just like I remember like Jabley hurt his back and he was doing Larson presses with like 450. Like it was like I want to say it was 450, which sounds crazy, but just for reps with like Larson press, and it was just like retarded. Like it's just insane. That's not what we're supposed to be doing is bench press, and you're so fucking good at it.
Well, we
That's a
can
funny-
relate. We can relate to that.
Yeah, you guys big bench monsters.
Mediocre
over here.
strongman doing good bench press.
Big bench, no overhead. I'm like the inverse of that.
That's what you were saying. Something.
No, that is a funny thing though that people probably see strongmen, and you think of like your core exercises of your bench, your squat, your deadlift. Not a lot of big benchers. All things considered, all things relative. Not a lot of big benchers in strongmen.
Well, it's like it's one of those things where though, like if you go like to that pro level, those really top guys, I bet they all have like a 450 in their back pocket that they can just bang, whenever they need to. Because I remember that I did that with Dom. Like we went to Iron Image one time. I think this is when we were doing our novice show there, and Dom wasn't really even training at that point. I don't think, or at least not very much. And it was April 20th, so he wanted to hit a 420 bench. Yeah. So
that makes sense.
But he just did it though. He just he warmed up to a 420 and having not training hard.
Does he listen to this?
Fuck, I don't know.
Does anybody talk to him?
He might not know what a podcast is.
Yeah, I don't know if he listens to it.
I don't know if he gets reception in the cave.
Yeah.
I see him every so often at Bar I or whatever. But
Well, he was at Magnus last year. Came and chatted with me.
Yeah, he came, popped in.
Yeah.
And then he was like, he felt the pain of not being able to, the FOMO, I'm sure, and then he ran away like a scared little girl. I'm only saying that because I didn't get to talk to him while he was there. He left before I saw him.
He came and seen me. Yeah. Like his
So
little.
then the other thing we have is we have provincials and we have Magnus. So the provincials is coming up. This will be out after provincials though, right? Is that right?
No, this will be out. Yeah, this will be out after provincials.
okay.
Yeah, because this will be out Tuesday. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say make sure you guys get signed up for provincials, but
So I mean that's a good thing actually because one of the feedback we had was guys were listening into this show to hear the recap of Westerns. And had a guy talk to me like, man, I was really hoping, but because we do the 2 weeks at a time, he was like, shit, man, it took us hoping it was that episode. It wasn't. It was next 26. So that sucked. So it's good that we're only doing one episode this week. We'll do one next week.
Who
And
said
one.
that?
That was our midget friend.
Oh. You want to recap of his show? Or
No, yours.
Or our show?
Yeah, he was just excited to hear about both of them. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll give you the recap. It was really good the first day and really bad the second day. There you go. There's your fucking recap.
Yeah. Well, he got it. It was 2 weeks after it, so our delay. And
Yeah, I know. That's kind of the curse, the blessing, the curse of having three podcast hosts as
with crazy schedules.
As busy and popular as we are, is that we can't really sit down every week and do this. It's just not like sitting down every 2 weeks.
It's hard enough doing it every 2 weeks.
It's literally we message back and forth for 3 to 4 days.
Yeah,
to solidify a 2-hour window to record.
So we're hoping that we're doing one today, and then we're gonna do at least one this weekend with the guys. Hopefully, like I would love to get to bang out one with each of those guys, and then we'll.
That's this weekend.
No, next weekend.
Next weekend.
Sorry,
yeah.
next weekend.
Yeah. This weekend
wait,
after the podcast.
So then we did. Oh no! Wait. Okay. Never mind. Forget it. Yeah, I got it. We're good. Okay, I understand how the schedule works now.
Yeah, so we've got provincials this weekend, Magnus next weekend. I'm involved, so I got to bring the equipment for that and to get that all set up. And then we have.
Are they ever gonna give us the events for that, or is that?
I don't know what the deal is. Like, dude,
They really don't want to tell us.
he posted on Facebook today. They're pretty much identical to last year.
Well, I asked him. I was like, are they? Because he said something about the events. I was like, so the events same as last year, or what? And he was like, oh, Devin and Magnus are figuring them out, and we'll know soon. And I was like, I'd love to know now, but that's the way it goes.
I might have an inside line.
I figured you might. And if anybody wants any kind of evidence that I don't get any sort of favorable treatment or special things, like I have no fucking clue what the events are.
And we're
I've
partners.
known for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, that's the thing is that you might, but I have no idea what the events are. I have no idea what the weights are. I didn't know the competitor list before anybody else did.
Yeah. No one did. I keep that stuff really close to my chest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's better that way. I'd rather
It's
that
an
way
integrity
than
thing for me.
Have weird little murmurs going on.
No, it's
people thinking that there's some sort of favoritism when there's not.
It's an integrity thing.
That way, when I spank Jeffers' little bum all over the place on
the event list might be benefiting you.
Well, we'll see. Because the problem is
No,
that
I'm just kidding.
Me and Jeff. Okay.
What an asshole.
The problem is that me and Jeffers are good at a lot of the same events.
I know.
So
I
it's
know.
like-
So I found the ones you weren't good at. I'm like, yeah, we'll just throw that one in
Those
this year.
ones out. Yep. Get rid of them.
Yeah.
No grip necessary.
Oh, we're just doing 6 events of natural stones? Yeah. I don't see why that
That's pretty
doesn't.
much what the Magnus throw was.
Yeah,
it was
right.
all Magnus. It was all natural stones in some capacity.
You know what? The competitor list is actually pretty damn good.
I've
There's
now-
a lot of
they put that out now.
Yeah, there's depth to that.
Yeah, that's really cool. There's some Quebec guys. There's me, Dan. There's Jeffers, Tristan,
Dan. No let there.
David Nolette.
Yeah, he's a big
Quebec
boy.
guy. He's really good.
Yeah.
There's a couple guys that like American guys that I didn't recognize, but holy fuck, dude! Like,
Well, I had all their resumes because they sent in every one of their stats, and I went through the. That was actually a lot of. I didn't realize how much. I give these guys props to building these big comps. I'm going through every comp that they listed, where they placed it, what year, who they competed against, and trying to cross-reference. So I didn't pick the wrong guy. Because there was one guy that we had one guy beat him. He beat one of the guys on the show last year, but that guy beat him this year at a previous comp. So I'm like, so they both got the invite. Luckily, but they were the last two.
Well, there you go. So there's some.
Yeah.
If you guys needed any kind of proof that Devin's not just, or not Devin, sorry, the Magnus crew isn't just picking names out of a hat. Like, there's
No.
obviously some serious thought going into this.
I spent a couple hours going through that list and just cross-referencing people. There were some that were standouts that I knew were going.
You should have asked me that. I could have told you who's cool and who's not cool. just picked it based on that. Who would be more fun this weekend?
Just have the coolest strong
Yeah,
men.
exactly. Yeah, I'm not talking about the guys who are strongest, but the guys who I enjoy spending time with. That's what we could have chosen. I would have told you to pick Clordy, even though he's hurt. Like, bring him out. Give him some fuck. Like,
he'll talk about something about his, he's pregnant, but I've clearly seen he just had a baby.
Yeah, the baby's been had.
And congrats,
he's,
Josh.
He's
on
rehabbing.
that.
Congrats to Josh Clordy and Bailey for their baby.
That was last night, this morning.
Boy, I think,
baby,
right?
No, baby girl.
Baby girl. Hey, there you go.
Well, don't put titles out there.
Yeah,
How you
baby
decided.
baby TBD.
Yeah.
We'll
Baby, them.
when the baby tells them and they tell us, we'll let you guys know. I would
I'm so on board with that shit.
I would have to think there's a future strongman competitor.
Rolling her eyes back there.
Mama's rolling her eyes back there, yeah.
But yeah, the list is like it's gonna be really
yeah,
rough.
yeah.
It's like there's some of the names that weren't on there from last year, say like Colton, but there's definitely not like a big gap where he was, because that this is like the American dude he did like 375 in comp and like a log ladder or something.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are just doing crazy numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, no disrespect to that guy, but like a guy that I've never heard of before. You know what I mean? Like, these guys. This is just numbers that guys just have.
Speaking of
now.
that, I might come take your log. Your big dog.
The big dog for
In the ladder.
what ladder?
Oh, we have log, and I might need logs.
Is it a log ladder at the thing?
There's something.
Oh, interesting.
You literally just said.
No, I am getting some favoritism.
Yeah.
I get to use my log.
Yeah.
No problem.
It'll be a couple of mine, but there's logs. But I got
I'm
to
sure we
figure
can do an
it.
exchange of information for log. That's no problem. No, of course.
Yeah.
The first show I did, speaking
Yeah.
of Magnus, the first show I ever did, first strongman show,
I'm
was
always
in
facing that
Gimli.
way.
And the log we used was made by Magnus for Magnuson,
Oh yeah.
The big wooden one.
the big wooden one. And I ended up getting interviewed for Powerlifting USA.
Oh, I've seen that picture.
And the picture they used was me like lapping the
and it
log,
says Magnus for-
perfectly lined
Yeah,
with
yeah.
his name and like great angle of it. One of my favorite like lifting pictures.
I remember that being in the old gym on the wall.
Yeah.
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 That's where I seen it. Yep.
Yeah.
That was a pretty cool picture.
The guy,
Very cool.
the guy who made the Canadian maple that they used last year.
Northern Strong or whatever.
Yeah, so he posted a video of him putting it overhead, and he was like, "Oh yeah, like first guy to put it overhead," and then he includes later, he's like, "By the way, it's lost about 60 pounds since it's been."
And it sucks because he was making really nice logs, and then he stopped.
Oh really? That's too bad. I mean, it's a lot of work. I imagine.
I'm thinking that he wasn't getting, and I don't know him well, but I'm thinking he wasn't getting the value of the time he puts in, because people don't realize how much time goes into that.
you'd have to charge an insane amount for that to be worthwhile. Otherwise, you have to start mass producing, and then that's not going to be
No,
feasible
like,
either. You know what I mean?
I don't know what he's selling those logs for, but in my opinion, the time he puts in, those logs got to be worth $2,000 a piece.
And it's the
no
wrong
one's paying
industry
that.
if you want to charge for your time.
Yeah, that's true too. I've seen like those like.
We
sped
could
up
afford a
videos
better
of
table
them.
then.
Yeah, I've seen the sped up videos of them like putting those logs together and doing all the work. It's just like, it's a
I would love to have all wooden logs for comps.
That would be cool.
And mine are built the way they are because I had a sponsor help me out to get when I get started. This part of a sponsorship thing, so that's why my logs are all the way there. And my all my stuff's matching diamond plates. I just had a sponsor help me. But yeah,
Should go to like a TechVoc high school and get their woodworking shop.
to lay this.
To make a log.
Yeah.
I wonder how big their lathe is. I wonder if you can get like a 12-inch.
There's got to be one out there.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
I like the, a guy,
Anybody from Tech who?
TechVoc.
TechVoc's right by my gym.
Technical Vocational
Not TED
High
Talk?
School. Not TED Talk.
TechVoc is like
They wouldn't answer us. Imagine Tyler's TED Talk on strongman motivation.
I'd make it worth their while.
You still have 9 minutes. No, I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah, wrapping up early would be a big part of it for sure.
Yeah.
You said you had a couple good questions you wanted to get to.
Yeah, there was some good ones. Yeah. A couple of them that the regular shithead stuff that I like to see.
Yeah.
If our compadre here had put them up on the, but fuck us, right?
He's just having a nap over there.
Yeah. What are you doing with my wife? Is there a benefit to squatting super deep compared to a powerlifting parallel squat? Well, I don't know too many strongmen who are even squatting to powerlifting standards. I'm just kidding. The best thing I see, and I got to just throw this out there, the best thing I see is when guys post their damn squat videos say, We talked about this once, but almost hit depth. I went a little too deep, so I missed the squat.
I went too deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like
Tell your wife
too.
you went a little too deep. See how she feels. I can guarantee you she'll say you don't hit parallel either.
I went too deep and lasted too long. All my
Danielle,
squats.
you ever heard that, Danielle?
No, she hasn't.
She's proof that you only need 3 inches.
This is
No,
this
she's
is
proof
sort
you
of
could
a-
have kids without an orgasm.
Jesus Christ. So this is sort of an interesting question in that it's kind of like, I think it's sort of like, and I don't mean it's our buddy Trent, and I don't mean
Who doesn't squat?
right. I don't mean it in any means to this to any
Have
way
I
for
met
this to
this
be.
dude?
I would. It feels like you guys would be like soulmates. To be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he sends me a lot of pictures and DMs.
I feel like you guys
No, I'm
would.
kidding.
Yeah.
He's a good
No,
guy.
he's a great guy. He's always been a great guy. He's a arm wrestler.
Oh shit.
He's like a high level arm wrestler.
Farmer, arm wrestler.
Yeah.
We should hang out.
He's a great guy. But what I and this
How are
I
his
saw-
political views?
So it'll align.
Yeah.
I don't mean, like I said, so that having all said all that, we obviously like him, but it's showing a bit of a fundamental misunderstanding of what you should be looking for in your squats, or why you should be doing squats.
Yeah.
Which is
Or what you're squatting for.
exactly
Yeah.
what the purpose is. So if you're squatting to power lift, then practice how you play, and you should, unless you're in the off season or whatever, and you want to go into a more full range of motion squat, that's fine. But I don't see a ton of benefit as like a strongman, say, or like a general gym goer to be doing powerlifting depth.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a vague question. Yeah, there is a benefit. Like, to make a long answer, Pat, there is a benefit.
That's somebody who we have to get on the
I
podcast
measured
too
his
at
height
some
yesterday at the gym, and he said, "Do not fucking bring this up in the podcast." He's like, "How tall are you, Pat?" I'm like 5'8". I'm like, "You're not 5'8", Pat. I'm 5'10" and a quarter, but I keep shrinking. And we measured him, and he ain't no 5'8",
point.
boys.
Not 5'8", eh?
Officially shorter than Carlton
He,
Banks.
he ain't no 5'7" and a quarter either. I'll tell you that.
We'll get a chair with a
So
phone
he
book
said
here
he
and
listened to the
can
last
come talk to us.
podcast. Like, I didn't hear one joke about me, and then slowly, right at the end of our podcast, we dropped a joke about him, and his
What-
and
what-
his,
see through the window being short enough that Pat can slip through.
and his wife caught it, and she's like, "Do these guys think you're a midget?" So shout out to Vanessa. We
Yeah, shout
don't
out
think
Vanessa.
he's a midget.
We don't think he is. We can just use our eyes and see for ourselves.
Well, we see over it for ourselves, but
I have, like, athletes, I have them squat as deep as they can.
Exactly.
Because I want them to be strong in every position.
Right.
In hockey, you're off balance, and you catch an edge, and you're off. You got to be strong getting back up to a regular stride. In football, you're always in different positions, and you got to be strong. Things like that. MMA, definitely. For a power lifter, maybe a phase in between comps.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah. There is benefit to do it all the time. I don't think any one exercise should be done all the time.
Right. I think that it's, like I said, it's a matter of if you're. I mean, that would include any other strength sport too. Is that if you're doing it for a GPP thing, which would be like non-specific sports purposes, right? I'm not telling you guys, sorry, telling them.
Those people.
Yeah, the dummies.
I learned something.
That if it's not specific to your sport, then you should do it in a means that's going to produce the most growth or strength or hypertrophy or whatever you're trying to do, right? Which would be a full range of motion.
Yeah.
See, I often throw it in with mine, guys, because it's just, if I don't throw in deep squats, they lose that range of motion completely.
Sure.
In strongman, a lot of the guys don't do any mobility work. If it's not programmed, they won't do it.
Yeah.
And if I don't throw blocks in there of even heel elevated squats, like just so they can get that range of motion going, they will lose it.
Yeah.
Because I've had athletes lose it, and it takes months to bring it back.
If
If you don't use it, you lose it.
That's absolutely true. I was always very flexible, even like when I started doing strongman stuff. Like I had pretty good mobility and flexibility and stuff. And lately, it's been, by lately I mean the last like 3 years, it's been getting pretty noticeably worse.
Can you still get your leg span in your head? Ask him for
Find
Jeffers.
out later, yeah. Find out after the podcast. But like my mobility started kind of suck, whatever. And then actually Dan was really, really on his, and because his was kind of shitty too from just work and shit.
Yeah.
So then him doing his kind of inspired me to start being a little more with mine. And then we have Nate in the gym,
The human crowbar.
yeah, who's like it's like trying to fucking stretch out like a rhinoceros. Like it's just like there's no like you take a stretch, you're like, all right, try this, and it's just like it's not there. You're like, all right, we're gonna regress this back to 2 steps here.
Yeah.
Not enough, more, and he's getting better. To his credit, he's getting better, but it's just like I've seen very few people who have like who are like just as bound up as him.
For you two, when you overhead press, honest question, let's say even barbell, your hands go behind your head at all?
Behind my head? No.
So yours, you got mobility enough in your shoulders?
Yeah, now I do.
So we were at the gym yesterday, and Brian, Jay Brian, he's starting to. I got him. He's going to compete next year. So I'm full off season. He wants to compete next year.
Right.
So I got him overhead pressing. I'm not going to say his weights because he's really embarrassed by him, but he's like, this is humbling. And he does his overhead press. He's warming up, and he locks out his overhead press. And I'm like, holy shit. And he's like, what, is it that bad? And he's like, he thinks I'm criticizing him, but dude's arms are fully locked up behind his head, like
really?
down the Olympic lift. I'm like, he's like, well, it's not that good, is it? I'm like, here, allow me to lift this bar. And I lock out the bar, and my bar sits in front of my forehead, and I'm locked out. And he's like, well, that's how I look, right? I'm like, no, you're about 12 inches that way.
See, I have a yoga,
and I know what 12 inches is.
Yeah, no, you don't. I have a yoga instructor who's...
There's a few people here who don't know what it is.
I have a yoga instructor who's like hypermobile too. So when she presses, we had to actually kind of like stop her from...
She was old.
Yeah, because she can lose her balance if it gets heavy enough, right?
Well, Brian would have to worry about that.
No, yeah. It's not getting that heavy for him?
No, I'm kidding.
Say a number. What is it?
What, his pressing?
Yeah. Put him on the spot.
I got him doing a bunch of like big tempo work,
Okay.
but yeah, he's got 100 pounds to the bar, and he's just like,
Fuck
this
yeah.
is deadly.
Fuck yeah.
And this long tempos, he doesn't overhead press much.
But that was a problem that Nate had
Yeah.
was closer to what you were saying, which is
Yeah.
like the idea, like trying to get him under a bar, like he's pressing out to here because he can't get it to this
Yeah.
position here. You know what I mean? So that's
As long as I get him to beat Nate's log next year, I'm happy. Nah, I'm just kidding, Nate. I love you.
I've actually incorporated, I'll use a mini band and I'll do overhead squats, ass to grass as part of my warm up.
Oh yeah.
And everything just feels so much better.
See, I'm pretty
but it
good
took
at
a while to get
I'm
there.
pretty good at overhead squat. Like I can do like I saw this thing where it was like, oh, like test your whatever, and like starting out here and moving in. And I can
Yeah.
get like a hands together overhead squat like that. So I'm
And
pretty
they
good at
stay
that
above.
One. Yeah, I'm pretty good at that.
I
one.
did that a couple years ago testing. I mean, I was in physio because I'm always there. Oh, literally, my hands touch the wall. Like my hands just right in front of me.
Yeah.
I was doing yoga. I went to yoga one time after I tore my shoulder because I'm like, I need mobility. Like, this is getting bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't hot yoga, but it was when I wasn't there. I am just dripping sweat. I'm beside this large lady next to me who is way more flex than I am.
Oh, we
and
just got canceled.
Yeah. Sorry, this average size body positive. No, I'm kidding. But I'm doing this motion where you're supposed to point to the ceiling and you're in a certain position, and I go to rotate my shoulder and I'm pointing at her face about this far from her. And she looks at me, I'm like, I can't lift my arm anymore. And the instructor comes here, he's like, what are you doing? He's like, lift your arm. And I'm like, I can't. And I'm straight in her face. I'm like, I'm so sorry, ma'am.
For a little while, we had the same girl I was talking about. She was like doing yoga in the gym. Like we go there on Sundays, and we would just like she would run a little 45-minute, hour-long class for us, whatever. And I remember, you know Luke from my gym?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he came and did it one time, and it was something where it's like, all right, you're gonna lay on your stomach or whatever it was. You're all contorted up, twisted. It's like turn your head over your left shoulder and just look that way, and that's your stretch, whatever. And Jumanji was in it too. And he was right next to Luke, and sure enough, Luke like looks over his left shoulder, and Jumanji just completely got it backwards and fucked it up. So he's looking over his right shoulder. So now they're like face to face,
Just piercing eye contact.
And he was just like, and it was like, you know, a 30-second hold or whatever. So he's like, great, I guess he'll just look deep into Jumanji's eyes for 30 seconds here while we just have this incredible.
I would just alternate eyes back and forth.
Yeah.
Just screw with him for a while.
It was so funny.
Yeah, that was that was the one time I did yoga.
But what I would say for the thing, just to put a ball on that last thing, is thinking about specificity, thinking about why you're training the movement. If you're doing a deadlift for strongman, you might do an 18-inch pick, but I wouldn't recommend that for most people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, lots of times you're training the top part of the squat motion to transfer through to your push press and transfer through to yoke picks and
yeah.
I knew you'd like this one. I don't know who sent this in, but he's probably out of a job tomorrow. I don't know. It's almost.
I got to learn how to back up a trailer.
Yeah, you're gonna have to learn how to deliver some stuff. This guy might be out of a job by noon.
I'm trying to read who sent it.
Oh, it's he's a weird guy, socially awkward.
I can't make it up.
Yeah.
I
I think it says Dick Taker.
Morgan Wallen with a
7592.
thyroid problem.
Do I know this person? Do I know this person?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Does he know him personally?
Yeah.
I can't see the thing now.
Dino.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Son of a bitch. Here's the question,
read
since
the
I'll
question.
say it because I don't think this is right up Tyler's alley. Is Tyler so confident? This is a two-part question. Is Tyler so confident that he will win MSM because the champ retired?
See, I know you fed this to him because I've
I
never
did not
heard
feed
him
shit.
construct a complete sentence.
Dude, okay, stop the question, because on the way here, I'm driving on Osborne, and he's doing deliveries right now. This guy works for me. He's a good friend of mine, and every time he calls me, I'm very short-tempered. And he always calls me, and every time I ask him, I'm like, oh, he's like, and after, first couple weeks he works for me, I was like, okay, he's just nervous. It's a new job. And after about 4 weeks, I'm like, if I spent any more fucking time on the phone with you saying, I'm like, I could have got my whole day done before you spilled your first damn word. And he's like, okay. So we're on the way here today, and he's stumbling on his words over and over again on the phone. And I'm like, dude, does our benefits package that I give you, does it have speech therapy? And he's like, Devin, I did so much speech therapy as a kid. I'm like, oh, this is actually a real subject. I'm sorry, Dean. It's like, I did speech therapy through all middle school, and it never helped. I'm like, oh, this is a touchy subject for you.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry, buddy.
That's funny.
I was in the truck with him once, and we're driving, and out of nowhere, he just goes, I'm like, you okay? Yeah, I just got to call Devin.
Come on.
Yeah. Like he's bracing himself for it.
Oh, am I that much of an asshole?
So what's part two of this
Is
bullshit?
Tyler so confident he will win
question?
MSM because the champ retired, or did the champ retire because Tyler's
Oh,
competing?
I like the second half of that question. Wow, you really redeemed himself with that part.
He's playing both sides of the fence, which is where that poll usually sits for him.
I really do wish that Devin was able to do this one, actually, because I do want to beat him.
You did beat me once.
Did I?
2017
Oh, the Winkler one.
by 1 point, I think.
Yeah, 1 point. We'll see about
Yeah,
that.
you got second, I got third.
We'll go to the chicken barn and we'll look at the score
Yeah,
sheets
I was there
on the
that
wall.
day.
We'll
I took
see.
pictures. Dom won. You got second, I got
Dom
third.
won, yeah.
I actually beat James Moans that day. I beat a bunch of guys.
That was a big show for me too. I remember that actually because I
I didn't know who you were at that comp.
I think I've said before that I in my first year I made a list of everybody who beat me, and then I wanted to start knocking names off that list, and that comp was a big one for me because I beat Ben Thompson, I beat Moans, I want to say Wick was at that one maybe.
I think so.
I don't remember, but there was a bunch of guys on that one that I was like, oh shit, this was a big show. It felt like a turning point kind of show for me where it's like now I can kind of hang with these, and the next show they might beat me. But it's not weird that I can beat these guys now.
And that's the way it was. I would beat Ben. He would beat me. I would beat Ben. And we had a little rivalry going on.
Yeah.
Am I not? No, I'm not doing MSM. I wouldn't have your number this year anyways.
I think
I honestly believe, I know you probably, but I honestly believe with the event list last year, I might have had your number.
Yeah, no,
I was on last year, but I'm useless now.
That didn't seem crazy last year that it would be really back and forth between you and me.
Yeah.
And
it would have been because the gap between me and second place was not small.
no, and
It's weird because you're known for having a huge gap.
Thank you. Pride myself on my thigh gap.
this year,
Those tiny ass legs.
this year, like
All three of them.
you know, I talk a lot online about like, oh, this is I'm Manitoba's strongest man and whatever, but know that I am not taking this lightly to go into this when there's like Dan's right there. There's guys that I'm not familiar with in this competition, which is always sort of
Well, there's guys like Chris Godden, who is in the
He's a
powerlifting
great
sense
powerlifter,
would beat both of us in a comp.
yeah.
Like in terms of squat, bench, if that were the thing, he's got way better numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But I competed against him last year and I beat him. But it's different. You can't translate through.
No, but he's very strong.
But he's getting better.
But he's a very strong guy who's had a year.
Yeah.
So who knows what he can come back with? in
And
a
to be
year's
honest,
time, you know what I
if
mean?
you look
Like-
at Pat's performance at Morris, no one expected
sure.
him to come pull
Sure,
that out.
Yeah. Pat's a guy too. That could always be a real I wouldn't even call him a dark horse anymore. He's such a good competitor.
He put on 35 pounds since last year.
Yeah.
He's coming in a lot bigger.
Yeah, he's really subscribing to the idea that if you can't grow tall, you should grow wide, and and I fucking love that. So,
Yeah.
And the thing is that we're gonna end up with 20 competitors in the men's division,
That's awesome.
probably, right? Like
I think we're at 19.
We have 8. We 19.
18 or 19.
We had 18 last time I checked, so we will get 2 more. So
Which is
man, like
huge.
imagine if you just blow an event. If you just blow one fucking event, that's lots of points. Like
Yeah.
it's a bit, you know what I mean? Like it's a really big.
Well, there's 100 total points. You lose one,
right.
and the other guy gets first. He's 19 points ahead.
That's right, and it's a huge. It's a really interesting sort of like
How many guys did we have last year?
15, I think.
No, we would have had more than that. I had 81 or 82 points, so we would have had.
I really don't think it was that much more.
5
than that.
events.
Maybe though.
Yeah, I think we had 17 guys.
Maybe. We had a really great tournament last year, which was sort of like the indication that it's like, oh, this is.
I think we had 17 or 18. Yeah.
Like, and normally, like, I really have to kind of put the gun to guys' heads to be like, sign up for this fucking competition because I know it's heavy. You'll do fucking fine. But this year, man, we didn't even announce. We announced the competition, and we had.
Dude, the first night we had 15 people.
Yeah, 15 people. It was bonkers.
And I'm not saying I'm coming for you, but I did just string together a full successful week of training.
Did you? Wow! Congratulations.
I don't want to brag. I'm
glad to hear that.
Since December, I just strung together a nice week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for Manitoba Strongest Man, I'm really looking forward to it. But I think, it's not going to be something that I can just like walk into. Especially I'm competing.
Well, you'll be more run down than a lot of the guys.
Yeah,
you're coming off the Magnus show.
Before, yeah.
I mean, they've got provincials. All the guys are doing provincials.
Yep.
But Magnus is going to be heavy.
Yep. It's going to be really.
And because the caliber of athletes at Magnus, it's. And I'm not saying you sandbag, but there's certain events in a comp where you could take it a little easier in Manitoba and still place in the top 3. Mm-hmm. Where there's not, and I'm not saying you're weak, but there's not one event at Magnus that you can sandbag.
No, definitely not.
Because you need every damn point you can get.
For sure. Yep.
Yeah. And there will be prize money at Magnus. No one knows that yet, but it's out now.
Oh, wow. I did not expect that. That's fantastic.
No, there was. We moved some things around. Our live stream fell through, so we're going to live stream on the Manitoba Instagram page. Will be the whole live stream for Magnus.
Okay.
And that freed up, because we didn't have full budget for the live stream. So we ended up canceling that, took that money. Instead of even paying my accommodation, we're just putting it towards prize money.
Gotcha. Okay.
So.
Nice.
Well, maybe we can put something into play to stream that then.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah, there's a chance.
We'll talk about it. Yeah, so that's awesome. That's going to be that's a huge deal for that show. All of
No
a
one
sudden,
knows it
man.
yet. So the guys who listen, Jefferson, they were asking. We didn't have the budget, but there will be prize money. And the trophies I have working on right now, I'm pretty pumped about them.
Are you? Great.
I got a couple guys
excited.
helping me with them. They gave me some discounts and stuff because the trophies, my budget for trophies is only a couple $100, and the ones I'm getting made are more than that. But they're like, no, we'll make the budget work.
Awesome.
So it's gonna be pretty cool.
Very exciting for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Favorite athlete or
Favorite athlete / athlete.
That's what I thought it said. That's why
Is this a her/him question?
Favorite athlete / athlete.
I know what this is.
I'm sure it's supposed to be pluralized.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I think what it is that it's favorite athlete / athlete you looked up to.
No, they mean Caitlyn Jenner.
Yes, that's what it is. Athlete / athlete. Two different athletes. Look up to as a kid and why? I'll tell you right now that I wasn't really into sports when I was a kid.
No?
No. I didn't really have any, I didn't have a wrestlers. I had a lot of wrestlers I looked up to.
If we post a 12-year-old picture of me, you will clearly see I wasn't into a lot of things other than the cookie jar.
But I wasn't even, I didn't even really watch. Like, I was really bored by watching hockey or football or whatever. Like, I didn't like it when I was a kid. But I liked Steve Austin. He'd be somebody that I looked up to as
That's
a kid.
the age gap between us.
Yeah,
I was in high school when.
Right. Yeah. No, I was the perfect age where I wasn't allowed to watch wrestling, but my cousins would watch it sometimes when I was at their place. It'd be a whole night of watching whatever they had taped on from pay-per-view and stuff, whatever. And that was like, yeah, that's. I didn't really have any legitimate sport athletes.
Were you not the Stone? I was Steve Austin. Loved Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels too.
And Bret Hart.
Bret Hart.
Yeah, and then it was The Rock.
Yeah.
He was.
And it's just
it's
funny because if you ask anybody our age, they'll give you that same list of guys because they were just the biggest fucking deal in the world.
Yeah.
Like there was nobody else.
Tag team guys, it was the Hardy Boys. I absolutely loved.
Yeah.
I used to watch a lot of wrestling growing up.
Yeah,
which is weird because I stopped, but me and my brothers watched it. We had the Super Nintendo games, the Royal Rumble game. We played religiously. The cage match one.
I could pick any name.
Yeah. Those were great.
Yeah.
I could pick any name from the roster and say 1999, and I'm like, what about this guy? And you'd know exactly what I was talking about because they're all fucking stars back then.
Yeah.
They're all a huge deal. People forget that
Mick Foley.
When I was wrestling, you bring in a lot of these names, right? That were to be the big name on a show locally.
Yeah.
And so they brought in Gangrel. If you remember him, he was the vampire gimmick. And see, I'm really surprised you don't remember him because if you saw him, you'd be like, oh yeah, that guy. But he was this. He's this guy who's still today. If you bring him in for your show, people will be like, oh fuck, Gangrel.
Yeah.
And he wrestled for a year as Gangrel on WWF TV. But he was just the stars were just so much bigger back then.
Did you guys wrestle on lunch hours and stuff at school?
Yeah, we used to do the whenever I would be going around and see someone throwing a closet door or whatever.
Yeah.
I would take that and we'd do table stuff.
Nice.
So we did that grade 6 till 9 or maybe 7 to 10. My buddy, he was a year older than me, but my brother's here. But my buddy Dustin, he was so big into wrestling, and we'd always cruise to one of the guys' house in town, and we'd go wrestle in the backyard.
Yeah.
And they would be putting guys off of the top of sheds through tables
Yeah.
and like trampoline matches and like light bulbs and like just crazy shit all the time. Go back to school just banged up.
I don't think that's a thing that happens anymore. I
No.
think that. I think that's.
I don't even
that's a
think
very
they would
90s
allow it.
No, I think that's a very 90s thing
Yeah.
where there was like backyard wrestling. Like I don't
Yeah.
think you would see that a lot now.
Yeah, we did that for it was a long time. I was all into that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's way more because you could like record it way easier and put it on YouTube and shit. I don't know.
Yeah, they make
Yeah.
money from it now.
Yeah, you can monetize it.
Back
if you
then, we
wanted
just
to,
lost
yeah.
brain cells.
Yeah, exactly. You just hurt yourself
Yeah.
for no fucking
You remember?
reason.
What?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Growing up, I was actually
You actually were not like a sports guy.
We
growing
need to
up.
clarify something. You mean getting older? Did any of us ever really grow up?
no. When I was a child, wrestling was number one for me.
Right.
But like I was peak Hulk Hogan, peak Ultimate Warrior. Razor Ramon was there, yeah. Undertaker, like his first match,
Right.
is so memorable,
Right.
And the Rockers,
Yeah.
and then like when Shawn Michaels put Marty Jannetty through the window. That's when, like, as a young kid, I knew I leaned more towards villains
Oh yeah.
because I was like, this is awesome. Like I'm a big Shawn Michaels guy now, but like Ultimate Warrior growing up was my hero.
He's the shit. Yeah.
And then the buzz that Roddy Piper was from Winnipeg. I was just
Right,
like,
yeah.
that's super cool to me as a kid who loves wrestling, where you're like, this is kind of a thing that people where I'm from do. And then when I was 10, I started playing football, and it was like Deion Sanders for me.
For sure. Yeah.
Which is funny because I was like a chubby offensive lineman, but he just added so much flair and excitement to a game.
He's a wrestler. Like he's a pro wrestler. Deion Sanders. Like his personality.
His personality. Yeah,
it's like he is a
exactly.
pro wrestler. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like everything.
Yeah, he just added so much flair to the game. He could talk the talk. He could walk the walk. And
That's where The Rock got the speaking in third person thing from.
actually,
Yeah, because he saw Deion Sanders doing it.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like The Rock, Steve Austin, that was like grade 10, 11 for me.
Yeah.
And that, because I got out of wrestling, and then those guys, like Mankind too, I loved Mankind and all his personas. But those three are the ones that got me back into wrestling for a period where these big characters.
Right.
And, but like, and I, they are athletes, but like a North American Big Four sport athlete would be Deion Sanders, for
Sanders,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Were you like when you were a young guy, like because how young were you when you started playing football? You were like
10.
a kid, yeah.
10.
So how old were you when Deion Sanders was at his prime?
That would have been like between like 13 and 17 when he was like amazing with Atlanta, goes to San Francisco, wins the Super Bowl, goes to Dallas, wins the Super Bowl, plays both ways for Dallas. There's a string of 5 years where arguably the best player in all of football, not just his position.
Right. Yeah, that's sick. It's funny because I had buddies who were all like sports guys or whatever, and it just never clicked for me.
Yeah.
Until I was out of high school, and then I feel like now I have more of like an appreciation for sports in general, maybe because I take part in one.
Yeah.
But I also still don't give a fuck about like I have friends who are like obsessed over like the minutia of like what do you call March Madness shit.
Yeah.
Like they know every player and every stat and all that stuff, and I'm just like, there's no fucking way. There's no
March
way.
Madness for me is just gambling.
Yeah, well, that's
Straight gambling.
Why?
Yeah.
That's why they know all this stuff.
Yeah.
Is I should clarify that is why.
Yeah.
But I just like I can't be bothered.
Can
like,
you list stats from like wrestling stuff, shit like that?
for sure? Oh,
I've never been a stats guy, but Scott and Dean at the office, they come in every Monday and it's all about hockey and football, and they just but they listen to CGOB, I guess, talks about it, if I'm right.
Yeah.
I don't know, and they know all these stats, and I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I went to one game last year.
See, like, and like any Jets player
Like,
can
I'm
walk
just
in
not
here
good
right
at
now,
that.
and I would have no idea who he was.
None of them.
The only it's been a thing where the only Jets player that I could
Tell you
ever
what, if Ty
recognize.
Domi walked in, I recognize him.
Yeah, see,
Yeah,
that's-
yeah.
I
yeah,
watched
there's
back then.
old stars back
Yeah.
then, but
Yeah.
the
I was a
only
huge
Jets
Maple Leafs
players
fan.
that I could ever pick out of a crowd were the black guys because there's only one of them on every roster.
Yeah.
Whoever it might be, I was like, oh, I know. Now I am forgetting Bufflin.
Yeah. Yeah.
was my
Bufflin or
favorite player by
the
far.
guy that everyone hates now.
Kane?
Kane. Yeah. Those are the only ones that I could like look at a picture of them and recognize. The rest of them I would have no idea.
Yeah.
I would like.
We clarified this
No,
in
they all
one
look the
episode
same.
a while back.
Right.
They all
yeah.
look the same.
All hockey players look the same.
Like
yeah.
when people see this podcast, they just think it's three guys that are just slightly different heights, but they all look identical.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the camera right now. Are we like ding 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 right now? Like like biggest to smallest right now in terms of height?
Well, I got to sit up because I'm definitely taller than Devin.
Have we measured yet? What is your height? I measured myself
5'11".
yesterday with. Are you 5'11"?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 5'10". I was 5'11". Just like Pat was 5'12".
Yeah.
So he claimed.
4'13".
He was never 6 feet, but he was 5'12".
All right, the next question here is
What is the cost to come and watch a strongman show?
Time.
Yeah, generally free. Magnus is free. Brickhouse is charging $10.
Is this one being a smart ass?
Mouse.
Mouse.
Okay, no.
I like that guy.
Yeah, I like
He always
this.
comments on the YouTube. On the YouTube.
on the YouTube. He says, Grandpa.
On the YouTube
Talk
machine.
about a small world. He messaged me a while ago because of the podcast, and I still remember him from McDowell's. And it turns out one of the first jobs I ever did when I started my own company back in 2006 turned out that it was his grandparents' house,
Oh, really?
whose cabin was next door to my grandparents, and I did their side. He brought up, like, you did my grandparents' side. I'm like, which house? And he's like, it was this color, and I remember it because it's certain things I remember.
Is that
I can remember
grandma's front
jobs.
side, grandpa's back side?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And it was just like, what a small world. I only met him at McDowell's years later.
Do you know his dad?
Yeah.
I was going to ask.
Well, you would
Did
from
you ever
wrestling.
wrestle with his dad?
He's awesome. I never wrestled like
The
in
axe.
a match with him, but he was fucking awesome. First of all, his look was just amazing because
Yeah.
he was a big fucking
dude.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had the big handlebar mustache and shaved head, and just like a really, really great guy too.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things where very often I would meet guys who were used to be involved in wrestling or were the old guard or whatever, and they're fucking weirdos.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just like that's who gets involved with wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Is fucking
Yeah.
weirdos. And then as they got older, they got more fucking weird. But Axe was a guy where Steve,
Steve.
like
He's a football coach, too.
he's a football coach. He was a smart guy, and he
Yeah.
he knew his limitations and stuff, which a lot of these guys refuse to acknowledge. But I'm not reading it yet until I look at it afterwards. But I really like him, and he was just like an awesome dude to have around, and like one of the few pleasant older guys to like
Yeah.
sit and talk to and stuff.
I saw him at the AEW show, and he might have been the most excited person in the whole building. Like, like the guy loves wrestling.
See, and he's a guy too that he would have been wrestling with, like, so Kenny Omega's like the king shit there right now, and he's the guy who would have been wrestling with Kenny, like in community centers in like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Early to mid 2000s. So bonkers.
Oh, I can read this one.
Does
Does Tyler give Jeffers a reach round since he likes talking about him all the time?
who the fuck asked that?
He's got a legit question after this.
Whose is that?
Luke Outdoors 90s.
I don't know who he is, guys.
You do for sure, Devin.
Does Tyler give Jeffers a reach around since he like?
Stay tuned next week to the podcast.
If you think for 1 second I can reach around Jeffers' fat gut, you got that all mixed. So no, I don't.
Never mind being able to support it with one hand and hold it up
I get
and do
right
it.
in front of him, and I give him like eye contact, and we do it Western style.
My man. Benefits of using compression sleeves and lift belts, and when a person should start using them. That's actually a good question because a lot of guys throw on belts the second they get in the gym and sleeves and 30 different wraps. You know what? There's certain guys that do that. No, but there's guys that get into the sport, they get lifting, and they have every bit of assistance.
Gear horse.
Yeah.
Gears,
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun, right? It's fun to look the part, which I think that people are thinking of mostly when they do that. Like, I don't think they're actually thinking of like what this is for.
Yeah.
Because I did it too, right? Like, I wanted to look like fucking Dom when he was lifting, and he wore all the gear. So why wouldn't I, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, it's helping him.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
Yeah,
that's
like,
what
I'm
you're
like
thinking.
deadlifting in knee and elbow sleeves and just stupid shit, like not knowing when I'm supposed to wear my lifters or when I'm supposed to use straps or when I'm, you know what I mean? Like just all kinds of just whatever. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut
I wish we had more guidance for that back in the day.
Who?
I'm just kidding.
Oh,
It's a shot at my buddy who will message me after.
so
I think half my conversations are the best after the podcast, the messages I get.
the benefits of using them are pretty simple. It's that for the sleeves and stuff, it keeps your joints warm, gives you a little bit of compression, and it can make you feel better generally. Or if you have real tight ones or special ones that are made to give you a spring, they can give you a little bit extra leverage out of the hole, whether it's pressing or squatting or whatever it might be.
And keeps the joints warm between your exercises.
I said that.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't hear it.
guy's-
Welcome to the show.
Did I miss something?
This is what he does. He just zones out, and then he's just like, "Oh, I got something to say. I'll just pop in."
If he ever focuses both eyes, one ear stops working.
What are you laughing at?
So there's that, and then the belt
Long walk home
is
for her.
a little more to do with with actual like
She's there.
usefulness.
Yeah, she can stay here. Oh, it's funny. It's funny. Yeah.
The belt's a little more useful and actually good for like safety. And
Lifting
stuff,
belt, let's clarify that.
Yeah, lifting belt.
I hated wearing my belt.
I know a lot of people like say like Kelsey
So
from our gym,
much.
like really, it's been really like a paying for her to figure it out, and she just doesn't care for it. And ultimately, you will. It's like it might be one step back, but it'll be 10 steps forward when you figure it out. But
you still hate it?
Since day one, I
really you never got used to it.
I did a 6-month block.
I got used to it, but I didn't like
you never,
it.
Like, got,
Yeah.
I did a block of training about a year and a half ago, 2 years, just for the Manitoba show, and there was no belt I was allowed for months.
Yeah.
And I put a belt back on, and it has never been comfortable since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They whenever I have somebody new start, I always, because it's like they'll be like, "What do I need for this or whatever?" And like I tell them, like, I don't want you to spend a ton of money on this, at least at first.
Yeah.
Because if I can give you a list of $1,000 to spend, but what's the point of doing that? You know what I mean? Like, go buy a pair of mountain climbing shoes in case we have a truck pull. It's like, why would you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just borrow Devin's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like everyone else says.
Devin's shoes are just
Manitoba
whores.
Strongman.
Yeah.
But I give people like a short list where I'm like, these are the order of things that I would buy them in, and I would start with a mouth guard, and then the second thing I would get would be a belt, and then after that's kind of whatever you want. Like that's like maybe a pair of lifters.
Yeah.
But the besides the belt and the mouth guard, nothing's like crucial, I don't think. And the mouth guard might be kind of surprising for you guys to hear, but that's because I've been told that I'm destroying my teeth from not wearing.
I lost my mouth guard, and I'm ordering another because it's making a difference. Yeah.
I think as far as when a person should, and you touched on this, when should a person start using them? Get your feet wet.
Sure.
Do a couple shows and think this is going to be a long-term investment for me.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah. It adds up real quick.
I mean, realistically, like if you're training in a halfway decent gym, like they should just have like a belt kicking around that you can throw on. Like I have 3 Inzer belts that are just like different sizes and shapes that are, if anybody wants them, they can just grab them and use it. So,
What shape?
What kind of shape we talking here?
The thickness is different, I guess, is what I meant to say. But yeah, don't like that's like don't feel like
cut out like anal beads.
we know a guy who has like the whole
Get up.
and is like the living embodiment of $100 shoes and 10-cent squat.
Yeah.
So, you know, like if you don't need that shit right away, and eventually you realistically you will to stay competitive and whatever, but like just don't.
Here's my advice:
don't blow your money.
instead of buying all that stuff, hire a coach first with that money, and then buy that stuff.
I think that's good advice, actually, generally too. Yeah, probably because you're gonna get more out of it.
But just remember, it's to keep your joints warm.
Just keep your joints warm. That's all it does. And
That's the only
Devin out. Back to sleep, Devin. What time are we at right now?
Who cares?
Clock time?
The run
Run
show
time. Yeah.
All right, we got time.
Just
for
run this sucker till we die.
die.
Why am I so? What are your retards?
Oh,
Can we say that?
literally one of the most caveman looking motherfuckers that you could ever hope to meet.
Yeah.
Nate Paul, ladies and gentlemen.
But you know what? He was probably
He's like a thumb with a face.
he was probably the idiot back in the day. I'd be like, hey, I'm going to teach this woman how to talk. You think it's a good idea? And that's where we are now.
That's where we are now.
Thanks, Nate.
He
Damn.
Nate,
Caveman.
just so not handsome. I don't even know where to begin, Nate.
Possibly the first member of his family to walk upright.
Like if you drew a smiley face on the end of a dildo.
All right, and Nate Paul, ladies and gentlemen. Next question.
No, this one's actually good. I like this because I know what this guy's going through a bit.
2 of you are past competing. How do you find purpose in training? Setting goals that aren't competition specific.
He's talking to obviously to Beeks and Tyler.
I'll let the 2 run down old so-and-so.
I would say grown up, but let's say aged.
Yeah.
The aged
Aged
men.
out.
How did you? Because you've been out of the game a little longer than I have. How did you? Because this is something
You
that
clearly don't work out at all anymore. So
Yeah, is what he's trying to say.
besides lunges in the middle school, there's a hell of a goal.
Schoolyard lunges. It's the kids at recess that really gets me out there.
Yeah,
My training falls off during summer.
because you know at least 5% of them have single moms.
Yeah.
It probably took about 2 years because for me, training started with football and basketball and then went to strongman, to bodybuilding, to powerlifting. So I always had an external reason to be training. It was always extrinsic. And then I kind of fell into this weird place of what am I training for? And I think I finally got some traction again, partly with the threat of having to get new headshots and just the way I look on screen. So another extrinsic motivator.
You found something, though.
But I found something. I've never overly cared physically what I look like. And I think there's pictures from my past, like when I was trying to get to 300.
Oh, dude, you would literally stack your
I
arms
look
on top of your belly.
I could sit on a plane
Yeah.
and rest my spitter on my stomach, and I could just and watch a movie, and it didn't bother me at all because I was just so strong, and that's all I cared about. And now trying to take care of my body, like I do more mobility than ever, interval sprints on the treadmill 3 times a week, which is like gross.
I tried that sprinting thing.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Remember?
Yeah.
Damn, I tore my Achilles this week.
Yeah, and
Still having trouble walking.
But I think personally, I just had to find something else outside of myself to push me, and even if it is as superficial as my headshots, it's just that those headshots are my resume.
Yeah.
So I need them, and I need to feel I look a certain way to have confidence in them.
Well, and the thing that goes with this question is when you are past competing, you're trying to find what often comes with that is a loss of identity, which me and you have talked about in private. 'Cause I know who this is. We had a conversation actually today about this, surprisingly not. But and it's
I was like, Devin, turn the lights out and tell me you're Tyler.
and that's when I told him he needs to do something because he looks horrible for his back shots.
even in the dark.
Yeah, his back shots look terrible.
I look like one of those grimace TikTok videos.
Have you seen these videos of like the it's like this weird
Sounds
trend
like a
where
hippo in
people
water when
act
lights are off.
like NPC characters on then making like a ton of money off of doing it.
Yeah.
I really want to show Devin one of those videos and just like watch him try to compute it and just like
Trying to figure it out.
Explain to him what's happening and then be like, what do you think about this? And just see how his brain.
What does
just fucking-
NPC stand for, Devin?
Non-playable character.
Wow.
Hey, okay, we're on the right track then.
I play video games.
Okay.
Okay, well you might get these then.
I just bought a gaming computer.
There you go.
That's a
knew
lie.
that.
Whoa, my account's listening. We bought a new business computer.
Not buy a gaming computer.
We bought it. It runs Excel like a motherfucker. I have never seen QuickBooks load up so quick.
It's not even QuickBooks anymore. It's super fast.
I want to see Devin just like wrap his head around one of those videos because
Yeah.
I fucking
What is
couldn't.
it?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
Thanks.
I can't really describe it because it won't make sense, and I would rather just show
It's
it.
We'll
to
make
you.
so weird.
We'll make a reaction video, and that'll be our
Yeah.
biggest video to date.
Oh, that would be good actually.
That'll be the one reel that takes off for us.
Yeah.
Crazy old far right extremist watches responds to TikTok video.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so I know what he's saying with the whole thing. I've been struggling with that because after MSM last year, I'm like, body was hurt. And like I said, I just completed a week of training since December. I've strung a couple together in between there of like 3 days. And I feel like I got a little bit of my mojo back in terms of dedication and mindset. But there is no goal. And everyone's like, well, get healthy. And that is the goal I'm having now, is trying to get healthy and walk pain-free again. But that's not a good enough goal.
Yeah.
Because I don't see, there's no trophy. I'm not competing against anybody for that goal. So therefore I can't put my head around the goal.
Yeah.
If I'm not competing and trying to beat somebody, it doesn't feel like a goal to me.
Yeah, no, I can understand.
You know what I mean? Like, so I have lost that identity this last year. So I don't kind of know what he's saying because I don't have a set goal. And now I'm just trying to get healthy. I'm in doctor's appointments, get hormones back to normal, try to get life back to normal. And yeah, it's hard, but yeah. So actually right now, starting tomorrow, me and the old lady over there, her bright freaking ideas.
What are you doing, Danielle? What's the plan?
Yeah. Danielle, why don't you explain then what you're putting your husband
Come have a
through?
seat. Come have a seat. Get on camera. Come on.
Come sit on Devin's lap.
Yeah, come sit on my lap. Tell me what's up.
Tell me what's up.
Tell me the first thing that comes to mind.
What are you doing?
It's just like I got a bad stomach, right? Like IBS. I'm in the washroom
hard to
7-8
look at.
times a day.
Huge stomach is what it is.
I was gonna wear blood. I'm like, I lifted the camera today. I'll just put this right in front of me right here. No, so it's like a whole gut reset, microbiome. Thanks, buddy. Here, what?
There you go. That should almost
Yeah,
cover
so
it.
I've got to do like this whole food elimination process is 10 weeks. So I'm rolling through all 4 of these comps in the next 4 weeks.
Is it a juice cleanse?
No, holy shit, yeah. I mean, I'll always be on the juice, but that's something I can get behind. No, but for the next 4 weeks of these comps, I am on 0 sugar, 0 carbs, 0 caffeine, 0 fruit.
What's going to be the hardest?
No fruit.
Really?
Yeah. If I go a day without fruit, I
thought it'd
ask
be
the girl-
caffeine for sure.
I did all last week without caffeine. Well, but
No,
then
you didn't.
I did.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. Yesterday you came and I took caffeine.
Oh,
I did
yesterday,
all
yeah.
last week. And then we were like, well, we're going to start this whole program on Tuesday. And I'm like, well, then I'm ripping it up for one last weekend with caffeine again. And then you came in and brought it.
8:30 in the morning, he had a coffee and a Monster on the go.
Really?
She doesn't know that shit.
No, on the go, like he was getting it out of there.
Yeah, I was on the go to my workers. So now I'm doing that. So I got to do the next 4 weeks of the Magnus show, all these on zero carb. And I'm a guy who likes, clearly by the looks of me, I like carbs. But it's to get my stomach back to where I'm not in the washroom 7 times a day.
Pissed off that weekend.
I pity the
Holy
guys.
Fuck, you're gonna be pissy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, Devin, now is this farmer weight wrong? You want your family to die? Hard to drive back to Brandon with no fucking tires. Just kidding.
What are you thinking about right now, Devin?
Just kidding. I like you. Alan, you're a good guy. Summers.
Alan, you are a good guy.
Yeah. We do appreciate all you do. Yeah, and screw you, Garrett. Beaking us on Maxwell Strongman page. Anyways,
yeah.
Tyler texts, why is this guy busting our balls?
Over
One of our
what?
Brandon guys. He's just making.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's making a comment about our event posting.
Just weight class behavior.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Why are you making it so hard to razz you or something like that?"
He's like, oh, we'll actually have time to prepare for competition with the events being announced early. And I was like, yeah, Tolstoy, we only announced them 4 months out. That just wasn't enough time. Vita, 2 months out, not enough. Yeah.
But it's funny because Sam's messaged me today, should we just put out the event weights now? And I'm like, no.
Fuck no. Fuck you.
Yeah,
Fuck all the
that's
athletes
what
and
I
fuck
said.
everybody who's taking
I'm
part
like,
in it.
because of Garrett, so we're going to put those fucking event weights out 1 week before the show.
We're going to do this fucking Magnus style, baby. We're gonna
for nationals.
Yeah.
Everybody across Canada, message Garrett. He screwed it up for
You're
everybody.
going to find out that you're competing minutes before the competition.
You heard a 24-hour weigh-in?
That's when you find out if you're there or not.
Hope your flight's booked.
Yeah. So fuck you.
Yeah.
No, not fuck anybody. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
So I guess we can pretty much wait. Is there any more you? Sorry, was there any more you guys?
Oh, we had a ton of questions, but we don't
you
get
want
to
to add to that? No, but that's.
Do you want to go to more on that question? No.
One thing I've started doing is creating different type of training goals for myself.
Sure.
Like I'm trying to get to a 135 GHR.
I was just going to say you had, the GHR goal.
Yeah,
And then
so-
you had a Zercher squat goal.
Yeah, so I did the Zercher thing, and I got to 455.
Holy shit.
And the goal was 405. But just setting small, either reachable or unreachable goals, like 60-pound GHR is tough. 135 seems impossible.
Do you hold that
but
collarbone or bar
sorry?
on the back?
Just straight bar on the back.
Holy shit.
But it just gives me something weekly to be like, I said I was going to do this. I want to get better at this.
Yeah.
And even if I don't get to 135, it's still, I'm going to be better at it. And you train and you get stronger at anything. It's never bad for you.
Yeah.
And then I'm actually working on doing the splits now.
Really?
And, yeah, just improving my mobility.
Have you ever done them in your life? Was there a point in football?
04, surprise, because of concussions. There were 6 months I wasn't allowed to lift weights.
Oh.
I was allowed to ride the bike for 10 minutes, no sweat, and then I was allowed to stretch.
Oh, shit. For 6 months?
Yeah.
Did you have a series of concussions back to back?
I've had a series of
I know you
concussions
have.
over 20 years.
But was there a
lifetime of
series like that
concussions.
short that made the goal 6 months?
No, it was just like a really
Oh,
bad one.
Okay. I've never had concussions. I don't know the protocol.
But just the way that I would test every month, and it just kept going and kept going, and I wasn't getting any better. But just the way that I attack everything, it was like if I'm only allowed to stretch, I'm going to be the best stretcher. And legitimately, where it's just like, and I could do like the splits in every direction. And my mobility was insane, but I'll tell you what, the second I could put a bar on my back,
That
it was
went away.
gone.
Yeah.
Completely gone. And had I kept it up and focused more on track,
Yeah.
it would have suited my position.
Yeah.
But I just always loved strength.
Dan can do the splits.
Really? That's just gravity doing its job.
Well, but he can. He does.
Dan
it where-
couldn't
he
do the
does it
splits a
where-
year
he
and a
does
half
it where
ago.
He clacks his heels together first and then splits in the half like on the bar.
Wow.
He does the thing where he bounces up and down when he's in the
yeah.
splits. You know.
Before we run out of time, that guy who died squatting.
Holy shit.
You sent it to me.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I don't want to watch that video,
No.
but I know what it is though.
I
No,
didn't.
we watched it a couple times.
I watched it not knowing what it was, and then I read the caption, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
It wasn't like the guy was an inexperienced lifter.
Nope.
It wasn't like it wasn't
Bad
like
things
it wasn't
happen
really a
to good
monstrous
lifters.
weight or anything.
Well,
you know what I mean?
460 pounds for his size.
I mean,
was-
and I'm not saying that like that's what I mean. Like it's heavy, but
It
it's
would've
not
been
like
like
it's
a
not like you put on 1,000 pounds. I was like, I'm gonna try to walk this out and see what
Yeah.
happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
that whole death was you can attribute that to inexperienced spotters. And no safety bars.
No safety.
Two things. He should have been in and you can say this now on People Heart, but I tell all my athletes and anybody in my gym, use safety bars even on your warm-up sets because you never know when something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And there's a prime. I mean, this was a lift that he didn't even come out of the hole with, but I cut you off there, but it was crazy.
Yeah, and it's shitty to say because he's passed away, but you put that spotter in a precarious position.
Yes, he did. Yep.
The same way with my bench accident that probably would have killed me had I not been doing board press. I put my spotter in a terrible position because I was like, I've done this 100 times.
Yeah.
I just need someone to lift it out of the rack for me because of my setup. And when he dropped it, I dropped it. That's 100% my fault.
Yeah.
And again, it's in really poor taste to say it's kind of his fault for not setting up safety measures.
That is true. I said it as a spotter. Now, you're correct.
Yeah.
You should always be in a rack.
Yeah.
Janae, actually, we were talking about the video on just the other day, and she said, well, I don't set up safety bars to squat like 135. I'm like, why not? Why would I? Like, if you're squatting 135, I know it's not heavy for her, heavy for a lot of people, something tweaks, and I've had it where I've locked in on a squat and something went in my back, and I face planted from the top. And I had safety bars up.
Hammies, knees, ankles,
Anything
back,
blows,
a million things can go
I told her,
wrong.
I said, can you handle 135 pounds dropping on the back of your head? No? Then put up safety bars.
Yeah.
I'm big on that in the gym.
Did she say fuck you or what?
Yeah, she threw a punch.
Yeah, imagine that ended well.
I don't see you like her being like, okay. Like I'll listen to you now.
She did actually. She listened.
Oh, okay.
No, but I mean, he was squatting outside the rack. This guy didn't even come out of the hole in the squat, which means this was, I don't know if it's a PR lift from, because it looked, in my opinion, at least 30, 40 pounds too heavy.
We can all agree that it was no lift, right?
Yeah. Holy shit.
PR or not, he did not get that was not to death, and he did not hit the lift. So
I said something to him like, well, I mean, he didn't need to go that deep.
well, he didn't get death, but he did get death. So we'll leave it at that for now, I think. And then we'll move on we're gonna head home here, guys. We're only doing one episode today.
Does 8 feet below parallel count?
6 feet, 6 feet to death, baby. Sorry if his mom's listening, I guess. Thanks everybody for listening up today. We're going to try to do our best to have some pretty different content coming up the next little bit, because we're going to have ideally Jeffers, maybe Tristan, Magnus Ver is going to be on the show. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. Start sending us questions as you think of them for any of those guys.
Yep.
We'll put a more specific one out to be like, hey, you want to ask Jeffers,
and we won't get through
how'd you
all
get
of them.
so fat or whatever, then you can put that through and we'll ask him. And if you want to ask Magnus for Magnus a real question, then send that.
That's what I'm saying. Don't be offended if we don't get to your question, because I'm sure a bunch will be sending in for Magnus, and we only have X amount of time.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So,
And we're going to have a million of our own questions.
yeah, we're going to have our own little fangirl session over here too. So,
Yeah.
on behalf of David Beakley, Devin Penner, follow the @Strong and Petty, follow Manitoba Strongman, follow all of our stuff. RIP
Donate
to that.
Deadlift for Dreams.
Donate Deadlift for Dreams.
We're halfway
RIP
to our
to
goal.
the. Sorry.
We're halfway to the Deadlift for Dreams goal already.
Oh,
We're
well,
20K,
shit.
man.
So keep it up, then, guys. Keep donating. Keep.
Brickhouse is the head of Iron Age for fundraising. But don't worry, Trainer Ground's doing first.
That's because we're cool. We do things at the last minute. We're fashionably late for everything. We're not nerds like Brickhouse or Training Grounds.
Oh, I mean, losing's losing. I don't see how that's cool.
Losing is cool if you do it the right way. So, on that note, see you guys later, and RIP to that bodybuilder.